Well, hello, and I'm here ready to review another volume of the Library of America. And as in the last episode, I won't be reviewing the entire, like the books and the stories. At some point, I'll get to Hawthorne, but I have read through this book before, so I have some overall thoughts on this, and I'll be talking about the evolution of the series through these videos, and I will be specifically addressing things like, affordability, value, quality of selections, and things like that. And to be frank, there's a little bit less to talk about in some of the earlier volumes where I think the Library of America was like trying a certain approach and was essentially doing it quite effectively. That is like complete collections of certain of important canonical American writers. And as the collection has gotten bigger, they've try different things, and that's kind of what we'll get into. So this volume, and like this one's even a better value and a better thing to have on your shelf than the previous volume we looked at by Herman Melville, the first one. First of all, with the Melville volume, I don't know how many people read Marty or Omu anymore. I guess people still read Typee. You can still find like versions of Typee on the shelf. Omu, I don't think I've ever seen it at a bookstore, and I've certainly never seen Marty at a bookstore. They are public domain, so you can always get them. With this one, you are getting essentially all of his short stories in one volume, including sketches, as the title suggests. If we look at the table of contents, it's dozens and dozens of stories. Here. Now, I can't say for sure this is all the short fiction that he wrote. I'm guessing it's the vast majority of it. If something's been missing, it might be like Juvenilia or some kind of minor work that's been lost or something. But so we got his 3 short story collections published during his life: Twice Told Tales, Mosses from an Old Man's, The Snow Image, and Other Twice Told Tales. So that's 3 different volumes. The Snow Image and Other Twice Told Tales is one book. Then we also have his children's stories, Tanglewood Tales, and A Wonder Book for Girls and Boys. And so if you were to buy these at the store, I'm sure you could get these 5 books, but you're getting like 5 books of short stories for whatever this volume costs, like $40. And you also get other uncollected tales, like where, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe some of these are not collected. So this Tales and Sketches, this big part, if you look at the table of contents, all this are from the 3 volumes. And I think there's some stories here that were not collected in those books initially. We also have like the prefaces he wrote to these, and the different edition, the prefaces to the different editions. So if you're a Hawthorne completionist, like half of your work is done with this volume. The only other thing you need to purchase is the other volume, which, it's number 10. So we'll look at this is the collected novels. So you can see the difference. Like collected novels is going to collect all of them, while something like Jack London Novels and Stories only collects some. I mean, Jack London is probably one of the more disappointing early series. Maybe, I don't know if I had to call it a misstep, but it seems like an incomplete job. And I don't know why they never came back. This is probably like a quarter of Jack London's work, maybe even less. But anyways, back to Tales and Sketches. Another thing to say here, out of print, out of stock. A reprint has not been yet scheduled. Another, just like the Typee, Omu, and Marty book. So we got early collections. And here's my concern, I guess. And, if anyone from the Library of America is watching, I want to know why some of these early works are falling out of print. This one is kept in print with a gift. This one was actually sponsored for the Guardian of American Letters Fund. So, probably many, many years ago, my understanding was that this was a donation, like $30,000 or some amount. I just threw that out of my head. And this is going to mean that you can always order this and you always get it. And the fact that it's out of stock in the warehouse not out of print. The publisher is still committed to printing this apparently, but if you're not, you're as good as being out of print. So that is not good. So another really nice thing about this, you could say, well, why not just find these on Gutenberg? Well, obviously the books are beautiful and they're fun, they're nice to read, and you got scholarship behind them that supports them, but you get the chronological the stories, the main stories. I think the Wonder Book and Tanglewood Tales might be some things out of order, but if you like to read authors chronologically and see the course of their career, I think, I don't know if scholars read it that way. This is how I used to listen to Mozart, is I have all of Mozart's writing, music, and I would listen to it in the number, by number by number, by the date it was originally written, which is hard with Mozart. You kind of got to guess, and there's some gray areas. With this, it's a little bit clearer because he published a lot of his things in periodic fiction during his life. But lesser known tales, if you just collect the short fiction of Nathaniel Hawthorne, you buy it off the shelf, you'll get Young Goodman Brown, you'll get The Birthmark, you'll get those kinds of stories. You can look through here and the big ones, right? The ones that everyone kind of comes across if they follow American literature at all. Obviously, Young Goodman Brown. What else here? A lot of these you've probably never heard of unless you've actually picked up these collections, and a lot of these, Dr. Heidelberg's Experiment is, I think, fairly famous. The Birthmark, of course, it's this early example of horror fiction. Rapunichi's Daughter. What's the one with is it Feathertop? Is that the one with the broom that comes alive or something? Some of these are famous, but how many people still pick up and read the Wonder Book for Girls and Boys? Wonderful stories, as I recall. It's been years and years since I picked this up, though, so it's kind of making me think I want to go back to it. On my main podcast, the problem is whenever you're dealing with stories with the 100 pages at a time format I use on that podcast, sometimes you're reading 2 stories, sometimes you're reading 10 or 12, and it can be hard to talk about that in that format. It's easier to talk about novels where you might do 3 or 4 episodes over one novel. But overall, a really, really wonderful collection, and one of my favorites. So, with this and one other book, you basically have all of Hawthorne, and that's the way it should be. There might be other things that Hawthorne wrote that they're not collecting, like maybe some criticism or nonfiction writing, and maybe there's enough for a volume at some point in the future, but most people go to Hawthorne for his fiction. I don't know how much he wrote outside of that. I can't say for sure. But a great place to start. If you don't like the sailor fiction, this is really, really a wonderful place to start. But unfortunately, not in print currently, not available in the warehouse. Maybe you can get it through Penguin. Penguin is the distributor of them. If you're a subscriber, though, and you want the subscribed versions from the warehouse, I guess you're going to have to wait to get this one. Too bad. Okay, anyways, that's my thoughts about this book. I think it's a beaut. So thanks for listening. I'll see you next time with, I think it's a volume of, Walt Whitman's Poetry and Prose, a book I never read, but we'll be able to look at it and make a judgment about its worth. I'm not a poetry guy. But anyways, that's it. See you next time.